We do have a quorum to proceed without Commissioner Baffa and without Commissioner Driscoll. So if the chair would wish to call the meeting to order, we do have a quorum.
Let's call the meeting to order. We have five, we have a quorum.
In terms of our roll call, Commissioner Baffa, Commissioner Driscoll, Commissioner Mike Sell appears to be present. Is he unmuted, Dustin?
He should be able to speak if he toggles his microphone.
Okay, Commissioner Seibel,
Yes.
Commissioner Gillum,
Here.
Commissioner Silverman.
Here.
That is a quorum to proceed. And Margie, have we confirmed that we've met the requirements of the Kansas Open Meeting Act?
Yes, I can confirm that the packet was posted and the required notice of today's meeting was provided.
So that would allow us to proceed with the business of this meeting, starting with review of minutes.
Okay. Are there anything to review on the minutes? Anybody have any additions? Are we going to have enough of a quorum for a voting quorum, assuming that, by the way, Maggie recuses herself?
Yes, we both started the meeting with a quorum of 5, and if we even reduce it to 4, we would still have a quorum to conduct business and vote on items.
Okay.
So we would entertain a motion to approve the January 27th minutes, and then we can get into our regular business.
I will make such a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Who did you have for a second, Margie?
Commissioner Seibel.
So we have a motion by Silverman and a second by Commissioner Seibel to approve the January 27 minutes. We'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Sell. Do we think he has capabilities, Dustin?
I'm sorry. It takes a while to get, for some reason it's not reacting right away, but yes,
Okay. Commissioner Seibel,
Aye.
Commissioner Gillum,
Aye.
Commissioner Silverman.
Aye.
So the minutes have been approved by unanimous vote. And that moves us to public hearing items and items scheduled for a certain time. The application before the commission this afternoon is an application filed by Maggie Gillum requesting the approval of a certificate of appropriateness to allow the demolition and removal of an existing detached garage and the construction of a new replacement garage in approximately the same location. The property in question is 860 South Santa Fe Avenue, and that property has been designated as a contributing property within the South Santa Fe Historic District due to its architectural and or historical significance. So we've given you some background in our staff report about the origins of this home and some prominent citizens who have lived in it. It was built in 1911, and the 1800 block of South Santa Fe was the city's first historic district, and it was established in 1991. And the property in question here was identified as a contributing property, both because it's largely architecturally intact and because of some of the historical persons associated with the home. So the owner, Ms. Gillum, has owned the property since 2017. And one of the first things done with the property, even perhaps prior to its purchase, was that the Heritage Commission approved plans for installing a new 6-foot cedar fence on the non-address side of the lot along Wilson. And so with approval of that plan, the current owners purchased the property, and they're now seeking to demolish the existing garage due to its deteriorating condition. And there's quite a bit of information attached to the report, including some photographs. But in addition to removing the garage, they would like to replace it with a new detached garage. It would be located close to where the existing garage is located, but would be slightly larger at 24 by 30 feet. The existing garage is approximately 19 feet by 22 feet. We have a site plan, which you're seeing on the screen now. The shaded shape or symbol is the existing garage. The shape to the right of it is the proposed footprint for the new garage. One thing you'll notice is that the existing garage is non-conforming as to setback on the west, and the new garage is located to conform with all the current zoning setback requirements. So this property is a contributing property, and because of that and that designation, it means that demolition and building permits for the garage project cannot be issued unless an application for a certificate of appropriateness for the project has first been reviewed and approved by the Salina Heritage Commission. So the applicant contends that the existing garage is undersized and in extremely deteriorated condition that is beyond repair. The proposal to replace the garage with a new 2-car garage that would have hardy board siding and trim that would be painted to match the house. So we have provided for you our analysis of the demolition request. The photos show that portions of the garage are in fair to poor condition due to age and other things. This is not necessarily atypical for a garage of that age. On this particular property, it is the house that's a contributing property, not the garage. The garage is not considered to have any historical significance by itself. The proposed demolition appears to meet the criteria because it's not feasible to rehabilitate it for use as a garage, and converting it to a storage building would not be beneficial to the owners because they wouldn't have a place to shelter vehicles. So for the reasons that we've outlined there, we do believe that the proposed demolition meets the criteria in the Heritage Conservation District ordinance. There is a plan submitted for new construction. Staff has reviewed the dimensions, the proposed location, the proposed materials, and the new garage appears to conform to all requirements of the zoning ordinance related to size, height, and placement on the site. One thing we provided in your packets was what we call a compatibility checklist, and we actually use that checklist on all garages within the city, not just those in historic districts. And on that checklist, a garage has to have at least 3 points of compatibility with the house on the lot in order for staff to issue a permit. So as we've reviewed this request, from a staff perspective, we've come up with the possible following findings for the commission to consider. The first being that the existing detached garage is not a contributing structure. Only the principal structure on the lot is a contributing structure. The property owner has shown that the existing garage is in a deteriorated condition and it's not economically or physically feasible to rehabilitate that. The proposed new construction is compatible as to design, materials, and appearance with the existing house and the surrounding historic neighborhood. And the proposed placement conforms with all setback requirements and size limitations of the zoning ordinance. So your options this afternoon would be to approve or issue a certificate of appropriateness for the project. That would include authorization both to demolish the garage and issue a permit for a new one. You could approve the proposed project and add any conditions approved by a majority of commissioners. You could postpone consideration of the application in order to obtain additional information. You could deny the application as presented upon making findings that the demolition and new construction does not meet the criteria in the ordinance. So if you agree that the applicant has provided sufficient information concerning the proposed project and you concur with our findings on page 4, then we would recommend option number 1. So first thing we would do is pause to see if there's any questions from commissioners about either staff's report or the graphics that were in the packet or put on the screen. If there's a graphic or illustration you would like Dustin to put back on the screen for further viewing, please let us know.
Do you have a high resolution image of the garage as it faces Santa Fe right now? No, not an aerial view. I mean, I want a forward. I want a straight on shot. Yeah, that one right there. Can you pull that up by itself? Can you zoom in on that so that it's in frame? Okay. I lived in this neighborhood for 8 years. I used to walk around the block quite a bit, so I'm very familiar with this house. I lived on the same block, actually, on Highland, catty corner to it, so I'm very familiar with. I disagree with the finding that the garage is not part of the contributing factor here, because look at the roof line here. Do you have a shot of the house itself at 860? I pulled this up.
All we have is the aerial photo, but we can.
Yeah, you can't tell that. You can pull up, if you go into Google Maps, you can pull up a street view, and you won't be able to see it in these images.
Sure, I can work on that.
That's what I did. I pulled this up, and I have it on my screen. What you're missing is that the roof line matches the house, and it's not a straight angle. It is a bit of a curve right as you get to the corners that matches the house, as well as there's a square area, a flattened area from the street view, at least, that matches that of the house. So the garage was built, if not concurrent with the structure, it was built to match the structure. And someone took great care to do so, because the roof line curvatures and the straight-on look of it were built. I'm gonna hazard a guess that they were built at the same time. They were built concurrently, because this was not an addition that was added. This was done by the same builder. And so I would argue that this is a contributing factor to that, because there's so few garages that were built at the time that homes were built at that point. So this was, unfortunately, purpose-built for a vehicle in 1911. I'm not suggesting that it be saved necessarily, but what I'm trying, we get into can you see, you follow if you look at the curvature of the roof line, you can only see it really on the angle here, but try and find a top roof line as well. You might have to go to the side view to see it. You can go on the side street.
Yeah, we'll work our way towards that direction.
Yeah, head straight that way onto Wilson. Oh, okay. Okay, you can see. Okay, you can see the flat. You can see the element right there from the above view. You see that square on the center of the roof. Oop, we had it a minute ago. Yeah, you can see the curvatures there as it gets towards the end.
David, can I just jump in here really
Absolutely, it's your house.
I just, actually, I did send some photos straight on of the front of the house because I figured you guys would want to look at that in comparison to the garage. The house roof line actually does not have that kind of slope to it.
Okay.
Then
it must be an optical illusion on my part. Then I'm sorry.
Yeah, the house actually has straight pitches, and the garage has these kind of curved trusses, if you will. But you're correct on the flat, part of the house. There's a flat part on the top of the house. There's actually not on the garage because the way the pitch meets.
But visually speaking, it appears that the flatness at the top of both roofs matches. Now, obviously, they couldn't do it because the garage wasn't that deep, but you can tell that it was that was. I mean, why wouldn't they just peak it right there?
Well, if you look at the side of the garage, that's a ridge line.
Yeah,
so
I understand. Yeah, but visually speaking, from the street, that was done purposely to. I'm gonna just hazard a guess. It was done to match the roof line look of your home, and so that's why you have a roof line in your new design. I would argue change the design so that it matches. You have a ridge line, and can you show the garage design?
Right. So the garage that we've designed, the new one, the ridge, the pitch of the roof matches the home,
right,
as opposed to the slope on the garage. And that's a lot more due to the fact that building those sloped trusses is just not economically feasible, right now in terms of money, and it would be much more difficult to switch the pitch to get a flat section there. I mean, we could do that. It's just essentially redesigning, the very top of those truss. It becomes a little more difficult in terms of water. When you have flat roofs, water will sit up there.
Oh, no, no, I'm not recommending you put a flat roof on it, because the existing structure, at least though, has that ridge facing the street to match the roof line. And I would think that you'd want to try and keep that element.
Well, we'd have to make that happen, because right now you see the flat part of the ridge faces Wilson Street because the garage is deeper than it is wide, which it kind of needs to be in terms of getting vehicles in there.
Right.
So we wouldn't be able to naturally just switch the roof line so that it's flat on the front side. We would have to put a flat roof in there similar to the house to make that happen.
I don't know if I entirely agree with, yeah.
Dustin, do you have the roof plan? Okay, so you see there on the top how the ridge is going east to west in the flat part. So you're seeing the peak from Santa Fe. So to make the flat part face the other way, we'd have to switch the garage so that it's, it's longer as opposed to deeper, which wouldn't work for the vehicles.
No, I think you could switch the roof design without changing the way the garage faces. I think you. Well,
Well, you can't, I mean, all the pitches are the same. So each side of the roof has the 4 and 12 or whatever it was. So to make that happen, you would have to change the pitches on the east and the west to be steeper than the sides, which is almost an impossible task. I mean, the only way we could get the appearance you're looking for is by putting a portion of flat roof on the top.
Part of the national requirement says that you know, with historic structures, you're supposed to do everything you can to match the look of the existing. So that's the, you know, when the staff says that this matches, it doesn't quite match, and that's the stickler with this, and
I guess I would say in terms of that is if that's something that if that's going to be a hang up on your guys' part and something that's going to cause you to vote no, we would look at, you know, flattening a portion so that we're getting that look. Like I said, it's more of a making sure we have properly engineered trusses to be able to get that design in there. It's not impossible. It's definitely doable. I prefer, in terms of ease of construction and cost, to have it the way it is designed now. But like I said, if that is a hang up, if that is something that's gonna, you know, make you guys vote no, then we are open to looking at that.
And I'm guessing that the doors that you are putting in, and this is, we haven't gotten to the doors yet, because the doors that you're replacing were sliding doors with a center pillar, apparently.
So yeah, the ones that are existing are sliding. They're like closet doors, you know, one slides behind the other. So you can never have both doors open at the same time. It's impossible.
Right.
They slide in front of each other. So that's not really practical in terms of having an operational garage. So we do suggest putting in, you know, new overhead doors, shutter doors that, you know, like a typical garage would have. But we are looking at, you know, options in terms of, you know, can we find styles that look like ours? I have not yet been able to find a style that looks exactly like ours, but it's a barn door, if you will. It's pretty basic, but I'm still researching, and my goal is to find doors that look like those, except they would be overhead doors.
Well, and I'm going to come back to the the national code, and you would have to match that to a certain extent in order to maintain the correct look. I don't know where that would come. I don't know.
They would probably have to be custom. To have that happen, we would probably have to pay to have custom doors made that match these exactly. Because like I said, I've not been able to find exact matches. There's some that are very similar, but not exactly like you're seeing there in terms of trim height and location and all that.
Yeah, and that would, because because these were built concurrent with the house, and so they would probably we probably would have to have that. Unfortunately, this is what happens when we have this. You know, I know I've owned historic homes most of my life, in and out of districts, so I just I would hate to see. I always liked the look of this garage. Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know about the practicalities of it. I never walked up to it. So
yeah, I mean, I'm like you. I like the look of that garage as well. The problem is that it was not well taken care of. There's so much termite damage in there. and the size of it is not practical. We cannot get vehicles in there. You cannot close the doors. You know, as much as I'd like to keep it and try to rehab it, it's just,
No.
it's near impossible. And of course we want the new garage to look, you know, as close as possible as we can get to the original, you know, and I've worked on a lot of things in the historic district and a lot of, you know, rehabs and a lot of, you know, reconstructions. And so I'm right there with you. I want it to look, you know, I want it to match the house. I want it to look like it's supposed to look, placement where it's supposed to be. But, you know, the current garage right now is just, it just doesn't work, unfortunately. And I wish people would have taken better care of it. And I wish it was slightly larger, but it just isn't.
Well, you're fortunate that you have the original doors. I'm wondering, I know that they're probably kind of beat up. I'm wondering how hard it would be to make a custom addition, in a veneer of some sort to an existing garage door. What that would take to, you'd have to set the track back a little bit further, but I'm wondering if that's something that's possible. Are you going to put an insulated door on this?
I mean, we hadn't really thought that far in advance.
Okay.
I mean, the garage itself is not attached to the house. You know, we really had intended to insulate the garage. So
No, I didn't know. Are you gonna? Well, you have to have power to it. So I don't know if you're gonna.
yeah.
Yeah. The carpenter in me is trying to figure out how to match that. with building something on an existing door, so it wouldn't be too heavy. But
Yeah, those doors right now are literally hundreds of pounds. They take two people just to slide them. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I imagine. I know how exactly what we're talking about here. But those are the two concerns that I have, and they both tie directly into maintaining the look from the street. You know, if this wasn't seen from the street, and I know you don't want to change the location of this because you have, I know you poured a driveway there. Am I correct on that?
Right, but also that's its historic location. And
right,
if you
exactly.
Everyone's garages are kind of in that similar spot.
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't want to change, you know, any of that.
But it's not far enough from the street that that it wouldn't be as visible. But anything that's changes that look again from that little short flat from the top of the roof. You know, I understand that the curvature is going to be pricey to do, but I'm looking at, like I said, I'm looking at street images here, and it's a interesting what do you call it, optical illusion with your eaves and overhang that make it look like it's curved there. You can kind of, it just feels like there's a little bit of a curve rather than a straight shot down. That little peak, that little flat peak at the top, and the look of the doors are what concern me the most in terms of satisfying the National Registry code.
And staff would just want to clarify two things. One is that this is not a National Register property, so we're not.
But we're in the district.
National Register code to it. It's a property in a historic district. And
but we generally apply the historic codes, the same codes as we do in the district. Am I correct on that, or?
Well, we have an ordinance, and the ordinance establishes the criteria for accessory structures in a designated historic district. And the standard is that accessory structures, which this is a garage within the boundaries of a designated historic district, shall be appropriate to and compatible with the architectural features of the primary structure. And just as a follow-up, staff's basis for concluding that the garage was not a contributing structure is the fact that in 1991, the ordinance that created the historic district only designated the principal structure, the dwelling on this property, as contributing. So the ordinance that created the district designated the house on this lot as the contributing structure and did not include or make any mention of the accessory structure, the garage. So that was the basis for why we concluded it was not a contributing structure, because it wasn't called out in the ordinance that created the district.
In that ordinance, is there other properties where the garage or other outbuilding was considered contributing?
Not any in this district. What you have when you have a historic district is you have properties that are either contributing or non-contributing. And so there's properties directly across the street. There's 3 properties across the street that are designated as non-contributing. Means that they had, by the time the district was created in 1991, they'd already been altered and had lost some of their original historic characteristics. So in the ordinance that was created, it just called out the principal structures at 818, 820, 824, 826, 828, 830, 840, 850, 860, which is this property, 809, 815, 833, and 841 South Santa Fe Avenue. So the only designations in the ordinance from 1991, which was initiated by the owners of this house at the time, were the principal structures, meaning the houses on the lot. So on the historic preservation standards, there's generally a lower level of review or scrutiny for accessory structures than there is for the principal structure. But in our ordinance, the standard is whether it's appropriate to and compatible with the physical and architectural features of the house on the lot. That is a slightly higher standard than what we already have, but we citywide have a standard that says that when you build a garage that's detached on a residential property, it has to have at least 3 points of compatibility with the home on the lot. So if you have a home with 9-foot sidewalls, staff is not going to approve a garage with 14-foot sidewalls, and a house has a 312 pitch and the garage with a 712 pitch. That's not going to happen. It's not even going to happen outside of a historic district.
So what are the 3 points of compatibility here?
Well, I'm not so sure. We didn't come up with 5 points of compatibility, but we'll go through them. So I don't know if we probably don't have that, do we, Dustin, the compatibility checklist?
I can probably get it. Yeah. Give me a moment.
Well, the first test is whether the predominant building material that is used for the siding of the accessory structure matches that used on the principal residential dwelling. So the first thing we look at is whether the material that would be used for the siding of the garage matches the building material or the siding that is on the existing home. And then we also look at the roofing material to see if the roofing material proposed on the accessory structure matches that used on the principal residential dwelling. I think the commission might be surprised at the number of accessory dwellings or sheds or structures we get where a metal roof is proposed with a house that has asphalt shingles. So that is something that we look at. We look at the roof style, its orientation, and roof pitch to see if it roughly matches that used on the principal dwelling. We look at the sidewall height. We would not look at the sidewall height here because it's a 2-story home, and so we're not gonna. If you had a 1-story home with 9-foot sidewalls and a garage that had 14-foot sidewalls, that would be deemed incompatible. And then we also look at the paint or finish color of the major exterior elements and trim, and whether those match the finish colors on the residential dwelling. So on garage building permits in residential districts, irregardless of whether it's in a historic district, we look at those factors. In our historic preservation ordinance, the test is whether the accessory structure, in this case of the garage, is appropriate to and compatible with the architectural features of the primary structure, which in this case is the dwelling on the lot. So the question that's before the commission and why we are here this afternoon is to determine whether there's justification for removing the existing structure based on its deterioration and its non-functionality due to its size and the inability to use both sides of the garage. And then secondly, in the new construction, to determine whether the garage is appropriate to and compatible with the architectural features of the home that's on this lot. We do look to the Secretary of Interior Standards for guidance in cases, but this is not a National Register property, so the Secretary of Interior Standards don't apply as the criteria for alterations or new construction, but they can be referred to for guidance. But our guidance is to look at whether the new construction is proposed is compatible with the architectural.
And that's what I'm referring to in terms of guidance. I'm not, this isn't the National Historic District, obviously, but it is one of our designated historic districts, and as such, I would argue for the slightly higher standard. But since this wasn't designated in 1991 in the district, we can't go back and change that history.
It is within the district. It's just that the individual structure of the garage itself does not have an individual designation. It is just the primary structure of the house.
I get that. Would anybody else like to talk about this on the commission? Any of the commissioners?
I had an additional question on that existing garage floor, the brick, and I couldn't really tell from the photo. Is that like a newer style brick, or is that an older?
Right. It's actually, we've talked to the people that own the home about 20 years ago, and he installed that brick. It's not even actual bricks, they're pavers. And it was the same thing we had on the driveway, and they haven't been installed real well, so they're all over, up and down, and it's not. I assume that the original floor would have actually been dirt or rock or gravel or some kind. So these have been installed like recently in the last 20-25 years, and not very well at that. So
okay, yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, we do have original bricks on the side of our home, like paths and things around that lead to our side doors. And and they're stamped with neodecia, so we can tell which bricks are old and which ones are newer ones.
Hmm.
And Maggie, could you go over what you said again on your thoughts about your garage doors?
Yeah, so the doors now are, I would consider like a barn style. There's that, what you can't really see unfortunately in this picture is there's actually, there's vertical slabs, and then of course there's this thick white trim. So I mean, the goal is to find a door that looks as close as possible in style to that, like a barn style. Like I said, I've not been able to find one that looks exactly like that. There are some that are really close, like they'll have, you know, instead of the trim being, like right now it almost looks like it's a 40-60 kind of separation in terms of where the trim is located at, with the top being a little heavier. I found ones that are very similar, but the trim is located like in the middle. So it's more of a 50-50 split. And that's about the closest door I've found. And I'm gonna keep searching. I mean, we're a ways from, you know, that point if we were to get approved in construction. So I've got some time to look, and I'm not opposed to, you know, coming back to the commission if I find some styles we like or you guys want some input on that. I mean, I'd love to find a door that looks exactly like that, but so far I've not found anything. And of course you can always do a custom door, but that gets pretty expensive. So we'd like to avoid that if possible.
And when you say barn style, are you talking about an overhead door that looks like similar to what you have?
Right. So it would be an overhead style door like you'd find on, you know, any other home, for ease of, you know, use and efficiency. Like I said, these are just not really that practical in terms of daily use. They're not electric. You have to move them by hand. They slide, you know, back and forth in front of each other. And you can probably tell that one in front is severely bowed. So it actually, when it was on, it wouldn't go much more than 2 feet past the side there, and it would get stuck. So yeah, not that exact functioning style, but we're trying to make them look like that.
Yeah, I just did a quick search myself, and it's hard to come across those without, of course, you know, when money's no limit, then you can get what you want.
Exactly.
I feel for you on that. I really do. There's a certain sort of madness that comes with owning older homes. We do things that we wouldn't normally do, but to make it look the way we want it to look, the way it was supposed to look. So other than that roof line in the door, I don't know. I don't know what to. Which would require sort of a redesign on that. I don't have anything. I mean, I'd like you to have a practical garage. But I am concerned about matching that as closely as possible.
Yeah, and
just because that's been there, it's looked like that for 109 years, 110 years now. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to add the one. That's my only, you know, and I know on the other end, one block north of you, I think they're going to probably have a permit for the garage, the Painted Lady. I don't know if they're coming before us soon to ask us to allow them to build a garage. Have they done that already? I don't think we passed that yet.
I'm not aware of any garage permits on South Santa Fe.
Okay, I know the owners. They want one. I don't know if it's in their budget right now, but I know that's going to come forward at some point on a property that's never had a garage, or at least not one that's functional like this. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
We were talking about that ridge line on the roof. Is there any other workarounds as far as changing the dimensions of the garage, the proposed garage? So where that ridge line, you see that from the front of the house?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any kind of variances on size?
So right now it's obviously deeper than it is wider, and the accessory structure ordinance, and Dean can further explain that, but you're only allowed to have certain amount of square feet in that. So we are like right at the top of that, so we could not make it much larger than it actually is now in terms of square footage. And to get that roof line shifted from the ridge running east-west, you would have to stretch the garage further north and south. So, I mean, we wouldn't necessarily want to make it bigger. It's, it's starting to get into, you can see the plan there. It's starting to get into, the backside of the house a little bit. And we don't want to get too close to the backside of the home, and we want enough space there. I think about the only way to accomplish that flat look from Santa Fe is to actually put a flat top on that garage. And it's not impossible. It's very doable. It's just a matter of, how you design the trusses there.
Well, or if you got creative with the roof and just had the pitch in the front, and then you could run it straight back into two different corners and just have that ridge line at the top. You could do it, but it would require a bit of a different sort of design. Yeah,
I think it would cause your pitches to be different. The pitch on the front would be very different from the pitch on the side, which I think would definitely look different. It would not look like either the original or the home. So I'd hate to do that. I would rather do the small flat portion that matched the home in that case.
It's really hard to know. Whoever, when that garage was built, they designed it to match the house. Whether it was built at 1911 or soon after. I'm trying to think of how many people might have owned a car in 1911. But we're talking, something in the order of Model Ts or something like that. What is the maximum size for a garage?
The maximum size on a standard residential lot is 24 by 32 or 768 square feet. This is 24 by 30, so it's 720 square feet.
48. Yeah, you could only really go a foot, about 15 inches wider to fit that footprint. If I'm not off on my math. So 48 square feet.
Yeah, the more
stretched out over 30 feet, you're looking at.
Because of lumber dimensions, the more common, the most common dimensions we have for a garage are 24 by 30, 24 by 32, and 22 by 30.
Actually, it would be a little more than sorry. It would be 1'7" wider. Yeah, which would cause a little bit of a hang up on the back wall.
The process for a residential property owner that wants to build a garage in excess of 24 by 32, they have to apply for a maximum garage size variance, and that has to be reviewed by the Salina Board of Zoning Appeals. So
Yeah.
we are, with this dimension that Ms. Gillum has submitted, this is what we would consider to be in the administrative building permit realm. So if there is a plan that's ultimately approved by the commission, then as long as it was below 24 by 32 or 24 by 32 or below, then that would just be a administrative building permit review. If someone wants to do a larger garage footprint, like 860 square feet or something
Yeah.
like that.
No, I get that. I'm just she could go an extra 1.6 feet wide and still be in the 768 number. In
Yes,
theory.
that still would not solve the roof line issue because it's still deeper than it is wide.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want, the garage isn't very big right now, so I don't want like a monstrosity,
Yeah.
sitting
No,
there.
I
I don't want to
understand.
make it as big as I possibly can. This is just, the size that worked for our vehicles and the things we felt we needed to store in it.
Yeah. No, I've built a few garages, so I understand and designed a few, so I understand this. So
Justin, can you go back to the garage elevation drawings, just so staff can understand and the rest of the commission can understand what we're discussing? The elevation drawings. So what you're looking at on the left-hand side is the north and south elevations. So the south elevation is what you'd see from Wilson, and the drawings on the right that Dustin had there is what you'd see from Santa Fe. So is what we've been discussing this whole time, trying to invert those so that what you see from the north and south is what you see from the east and west?
From what I understand, that is, yeah, that's correct. And without changing the orientation and the size of the garage, I think the only way to make the east elevation appear as if though it has a ridge facing it would be to put a small portion of flat roof on the top. And like I said, I'm not opposed to that. So if that's the direction that the commission feels we need to go to make it appear more like the original, then that is something that we can make happen.
we could also reconvene and with more of the membership. I don't know what your timeline for construction is.
We did request a special meeting because we would like to get this started and to get this going sooner than later. We were hoping, that it would be kind of a late spring project for us. And I just personally would prefer to be able to do that instead of have to keep holding off.
Right. Well, I mean, in terms of demolition, we could authorize demolition at this point without.
Yeah, I mean, that would be helpful if we could do something in terms of authorizing, at least so we could get started on that step of the process. I mean, that would be appreciated, yeah.
I think I'd like to go back and look at or get a list from staff of the contributing houses on Santa Fe, the official list, and go and look at. I'd like to go look and again walk the neighborhood. I haven't walked the neighborhood since I moved away 3 years ago, and get a sense of the other structures in the neighborhood and the look of it. That's just my my gut talking, but I don't want to hold this up unnecessarily. But I'd like to go look at the other existing garages, the original garages on Santa Fe, and see what has been done. And perhaps also see what other garages have been authorized, that if there have been any prior to this, because there's a house on the other end of your block. It's just south of what was the pink Victorian that was allowed to be built, that the grounds just don't match anything in the district, really. You know the one I'm talking about, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was allowed to go forward. So it just doesn't fit the rest of the district at all. I mean, structurally the house sort of does, but the grounds and the fencing and everything that was put in just doesn't match. Anyone else have any? I would recommend, and I'll make a motion here, I guess, in the form of a motion. I'd like to recommend that demolition be allowed to continue, because obviously this is not structurally feasible. But I would like to postpone for at least 30 days till we can get a little more information on what is still existing in the district and what's still. But so we can expedite this, have another special meeting in a month, and give you a little more time to see if you can find a garage door as well, and to talk to your architect, I guess, about what it would take to change that roof line. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be me talking to me, but.
Okay, you're the okay, I'm sorry.
So we have a two-part, there's a certificate of appropriateness application. It has two parts. Part one is determination of whether it's practical or feasible to rehabilitate the existing garage. And that's question one. And then question two deals with the compatibility of the proposed replacement construction. So if the commission wishes to separate those two questions out, then you can have a separate motion and vote on a certificate of appropriateness for demolition.
Well, I'm gonna suggest an 18-foot deep garage. Is that what the current depth is?
It's approximately 19 by 22.
I don't think my Versa would fit in that comfortably. I'll make the motion that we approve the. Is it a demolition notice, or is it just a certificate that it's?
Well, it would authorize us to issue a demolition permit for the garage to Ms. Gillen.
Okay.
So we have a motion to approve a certificate of appropriateness for demolition.
Yes.
Is there any commissioner who would want to second that motion?
I will second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve a certificate of appropriateness for demolition of the detached garage at 860 South Santa Fe. We'll have a roll call on that particular motion. Commissioner Mike Sell.
Aye.
Commissioner Seibel.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Silverman.
Aye.
So that motion passes by a 4-0 vote. So that would authorize staff to issue Ms. Gillum a demolition permit at her preferred timing. And we would get that communicated to her. Is there, if we're going to postpone consideration of the replacement construction, we should probably articulate what the commission would want to see in addition to what they received or saw today, before it got placed back on your agenda. What would you want the applicant to explore or provide, or provide information on at a future meeting?
Well, I think the two items that were brought up was the trying to match the look of the garage doors within, I guess, cost. I don't know what the budget, I don't know what kind of budget she has for this, and but just a quick scan of custom garage doors, even through a big box store where we could talk thousands and thousands of dollars per door. So I think a cost-effective, I'd like to see that a little more tampered down, and what could be done with the roof line. And if nothing can be done, we could address that at that point. But those are the two things. I'd also like to have more. I think at that point, I'd like to have more commissioners present, the rest of the present, if possible.
I'm not sure we can guarantee that, but we can work with the applicant to work on the other two items.
Yeah.
So if we could get that in a form of motion to postpone consideration of the replacement construction, to allow the applicant to try to match the look of the existing garage doors and explore options for modifying the roof pitch to make it more closely match the existing. If somebody would like to make that in the form of a motion and a second, then that would allow us to give Ms. Gillum some direction.
Can I add an addition to that before I make the motion?
Yes, I'm just trying to help.
If because I don't want to, we're getting into spring here, and I'd like to postpone consideration of this for 30 days, so that Ms. Gilliam can explore and secure the garage doors that are appropriate, and explore the roof line options, and come back before the committee within 30 days, so that we can help her get this project started. As I would like to see her have a nice garage on that, but I want to make sure it's protected. So that's my motion, such as it is.
Do we have someone like to second that motion?
I will second it.
We have a motion from Commissioner Silverman and a second by Commissioner Martin to defer or postpone action on the replacement construction to allow the applicant to explore matching additional options for matching doors and options for modifying the roof line, to come back before the commission within 30 days. All those in favor of that motion, Commissioner Mike Sell.
Aye.
Commissioner Seibel.
Aye.
Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Commissioner Silverman.
Aye.
Okay, so that motion passes. So do you have any questions, Maggie, about where you're at? We will communicate this to you in writing, but as staff perceives it, if you were to come in and apply for a demolition permit for the existing garage, we would issue it over the counter because we have this in place. And then we would just wait to hear from you to see if you've exhausted your research and your options, to let us know that you would like to come back before the commission, and we'll try to get that scheduled.
Yeah, I got everything I think I need and the directions, so I will try to look into those items and provide additional information as I can to get that second meeting set up.
Okay. And we'll just coordinate with when you feel like you've exhausted your options, let us know and we'll work to get a meeting set and a packet out. And then the other item we will do is we will send a list of all the contributing properties in the South Santa Fe district here out to commissioners so that you can look at all the contributing ones for yourself.
Thank you for that.
And I did review the historic resources survey that was conducted. That was the basis for almost all of our historic preservation ordinances. And there's no detailed references in there on this particular property or about the origins of the garage. So anything we're thinking about the garage is just conjecture at this point. It certainly looks like it was contemporaneous with the house, but I was not able to find anything in the historic resources survey that told us anything more than what we have.
I wish we had photographs that would help, but we rarely get those sometimes. All right. Do we have other unfinished business or other business?
We don't have any other business to bring before you this evening. We've had discussions with the Downtown Design Review Board and with Penny Bettles, the SDI director, and we need to have some time to pull together information and options about historic districts, but we'll look for some time this spring. Maybe we can have a joint study session to discuss downtown and possibilities for historic districts, but that's the only other unfinished business that we have on our radar.
Okay. Is there any members of the public that have other questions for the commission?
Currently, everyone that's in the meeting is either commission members or staff.
Okay.
So we don't have anybody from the public, but certainly if anybody from the commission has anything to share, we'd listen to them. But as to the public, we don't have any specific members from the public.
Okay. All right, you kind of froze up there for a minute there. All right. I guess then I'll call for an adjournment. Or make a motion to adjourn.
Someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I just did.
Okay.
I did. Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a second for that.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. We'll take a roll call vote on that. Commissioner Seibel,
Yes.
Commissioner Mikesell,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Silverman.
Yes. I think you forgot one.
I think we got all four.
Oh, we have five. Margie, she can vote on that one.
Okay, we'll have Maggie vote on. Sorry, Maggie. I'll let you vote on adjourning.
Oh, aye. Maybe I should say aye.
That passes 5.
I would love to come over and take a look at and see what it would take to replicate those doors too. But all right.
You're welcome to come on to walk on up and take a close look at it and be my guest.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. I'll take it. I'll try and find a nice warm day to do that in the next few days.
Okay, so our next step is that we will email out a list to commissioners of the properties in the 800 block of South Santa Fe that are considered contributing. And
actually, can you add the 700 block as well?
Well, it's we have two districts. We have the 800 block, which is a contributing, it's a distinct district, and the other
Okay.
district consists of the 607. There is no 700 block
Okay.
historic district. There's one that consists of the 600 and 700 block, and there's one that consists of the 800 block, but there's
Okay. My fault.
no distinct 700 block.
Okay. But the 600 block is north of Crawford, and the 700 block is between Crawford and the 800 block.
Yes, and
So that's why well, okay. We are an adjournment, so I guess officially I can't make that request. Is it possible to get the 700?
well, if you get 700, you're going to get the 600 with it,
Okay.
because they're all together. There is 4 historic districts, and the 600 and 700 block are together. So I guess we are adjourned, Dustin.
All right.
Yes.
We can sign off.